Hey everyone, just a quick video blog because it's been almost a year since I made my last one and I've been up to a couple of things, so I'll just talk about that. So in April I ran the Buffalo Stampede Grand Slam, which is basically 3 different races in 3 days over the same course. Most people will run just one of the races, most normal people, and if you're dumb enough like me, you'll enter all 3. And so the first day was 20 kilometers, the second day was 75 kilometers, and the third day was 42 kilometers, the marathon. And the entire incline for the 3 days was just over 9.3 kilometers, which is basically the height of Mount Everest. Yeah, it was a flippin' tough race. On the very first day I was going down this really steep decline, and it was like all this rubble and really soft dirt and stuff. It was like just so steep, and I just jabbed my tracking pole into the dirt and sort of put my weight on it as I was stepping down, and it just slid underneath me, and I flipped over and smashed my ribs and bruised my thigh, and I had to run the next 2 days like that. The second day, which was the 75k day, it was just insane. It was, you basically run halfway and then you run back again. Yeah, and I remember I was with this guy and we were climbing up this flippin' mountain, and you actually had to hold on to rocks to pull yourself up. And this part went on forever, and it was, by this time, it was just pitch black, it was night time, so it was just taking forever to finish. And I remember we would stop and rest on a rock, and I mean, if you let go and just stood up, you'd fall back, and you'd fall down. That's how crazy it was. And I just remember looking at this guy, and we're just like, this is just fucking stupid. And he was only doing just that day. I had to finish this night and then run a marathon the next day. And we finished together, and he ended up going into the car park and just throwing up. And then I went back to my camping site and into my tent and had to wake up and run 42 kilometers on that same track. So I don't think I'll be doing that again, but it was nice to finish. And then the next month, after that, in May, I ran the Ultra Trail Australia 100 kilometer trail race. I attempted that race way back in 2008 or 9, and I only managed halfway before I had to pull out. And that was way back, in my early days of ultramarathon running. And so my sponsor, Buff, gave me a free entry for it. And this race sells out straight away. It's I think there's 1,300 people for the 100k race, and as soon as the online entries go, within the day, it's sold out. So yeah, my sponsor came up to me and gave me a free race entry, and yeah, so I did that. But because I had injured myself on the Buffalo Stampede Grand Slam, I didn't have any time to sort of train for it. It was all recovering from those injuries. It was hard to breathe, especially when running, just because of my ribs. And so I couldn't train for probably 3 weeks. So I think I got a few days of running in leading up to it, but not much at all. And that really showed, especially in the last 30 kilometers of the race. I was just completely spent. I was so exhausted and just dry retching and stuff. I couldn't keep anything down. I couldn't take anything in. It would just make me feel sick. And the last kilometer was just completely up. It was just climbing stairs, and it was probably the slowest kilometer of my life. I've never struggled so much like I did in that last kilometer. It was just incredible. But I was glad to finish, and I was just like, man, after finishing, I was like, I don't think I could do that again. And then just last month, the same sponsor said to me, we've got another free race entry for next year. Would you like to do it? And I was just like, oh my god, that was such a tough race. But I know how many people would love to enter this race and they can't. It's fairly expensive, and I mean, if you don't register on the first day that the entry's open, you miss out. So I was just like, oh, like, so a lot of people would love to have this opportunity, and I'm sure I can train a lot better, and I'll make sure I've got no crazy races right before that one where I could potentially injure myself. So I think I'll do a little bit better, but we'll see. It's going to be insane. After that, I didn't do too much. I was just sort of recovering from my ribs and everything. Had a bit of a leg injury. And then last month I was in South Africa. I ran the Kalahari Augrabies Extreme Marathon, which is a 7-day self-sufficient run across the Kalahari Desert in South Africa. And it's completely self-sufficient, so you've got all your gear, your food, your sleeping bag, like everything for the week. The only thing that the race supplies is the water at the checkpoints every few kilometers, and obviously medical help if you need it. And so I trained pretty well for it, but I didn't train with my pack at all. So the first day, my pack was one of the lighter ones. I think it was like 7 or 8 kgs, and yeah, I struggled. Like, it was hard to run with it. I've done a race similar to that where I didn't train with my pack and I sort of got away with it, but this time I didn't. And yeah, the first 3 days I was just so much slower than what I'm used to, just because of the extra weight. But on the third or fourth day, I got quite unwell, just from lack of good nutrition, and just, you know, your immune system is down because you're running every day. The shortest day was 26 kilometers, the longest was over 70 kilometers, and that long day is when it all sort of fell apart for me. I was throwing up, it was pretty bad, and I had to see medics, and they sort of gave me stuff to settle my stomach, and yeah, it was insane. But I mean, sort of dealing with that sort of thing and going through those dramas makes it a little bit more satisfying when you finish. So yeah, it was an amazing experience, and I'd love to go back again and do it, and I'll train with my pack next time. Well, actually, after finishing my race, I went on safari and got to see pretty much everything. Got to see lions, cheetah, leopards, black rhino, white rhino, giraffes, buffalo, just hyenas. It was just awesome. 2 days of, I think we did 3 or 4 drives around the national park, and it was just so cool. It just made the whole thing really worth it. After I got back from South Africa, I got myself a new motorbike. It's my very first motorbike, a KTM RC 390, so I'll be doing a bit of riding on that, and maybe riding to some local races. Yeah, and so that's pretty much what I've been up to. Not too much. I've got a 50 kilometer trail race in January, I think, and I think that determines the start time for the Ultra Trail Australia for May. So I'll train up for that, try and get a okay time so I can start a little bit earlier. My next video will probably be another cooking video or whatever, so keep an eye out for that. Sweet, see you soon, bye!